To your greatest life. Kevin Gerina, and welcome to Unwinding Stress. And this is where I interview health professionals, all natural, all holistic, about how to, what techniques are available out there, philosophies and thinking, programs and protocols, all for your greatest self to empower you. Because when you're empowered, you can do great things in your life. Well, today I have a new friend in my life. And we got connected just a couple months ago, and he's someone I started to follow online and authentically was putting out great information. And in a part of the world a part of the conversation of holistic health that I'm still becoming more and more familiar with, and that's herbs, herbalism, and I like to call it phytotherapeutics. We have Danny Parrott, hopefully I pronounced that right. Okay. Welcome to the show, Danny.
Thank you, Doctor. It's been a long time, man. I'm glad I actually got to meet up with you.
Yeah, for everybody at home, we got connected from someone who started to follow me, like me, join me in some of my programs. He came to a live event, and I started following him, and next thing you know, you and him were flying out to a health conference out in California. That's right. But one of my favorite groups and health professionals out there, Alpha Vedic.
Oh yeah.
If you remember that. And if you don't know who they are, check them out. My goodness, Dr. Bar Lando. And pure inspiration for me for the last couple of years, and fully aligned with what I do, what I study, and they're just a little further ahead than I am. So Danny, welcome. And if you could tell everybody, you know, kind of your world, I introduced a little bit about herbs, herbalism. Phytotherapeutics is a more, I guess, a scientific or medical term that's accepted without being the woo-woo factor of herbalism. But this is the healthcare and the science of healthcare before the last 100 years.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
Share a little bit about it for me, if you could.
Yeah, so my name is Danny. I go by the People's Herbalist, right? I take an approach, we're looking at plants and phytonutrients as tools to help the body. The people come first, the herbs are just that support system for the body to heal itself appropriately. Man, these plants have been around for forever. You know, that goes without saying. And utilizing them in an appropriate manner now, in our day, 2024, you know, this is an important concept to recognize. You know, we had our ancient forefathers, they're foraging for things, they're chewing up leaves and putting it on wounds. Those things are ancient knowledge that still have practical applications today, but, you know, they've kind of been forgotten because now we have access to modern medical care. But these tools are still very valuable. And if we can incorporate it into our lives in many different ways, and our common lifestyles now in regards to what we drink and how we eat foods and incorporating in them, it can have tremendous benefits.
Well, I look at herbalism as a lost art.
Yes.
I took a course, I think it was 2017, maybe 2018, a one-year study, and I really got the appreciation of some of these things that are going to benefit me are growing on my lawn right now. And I know we don't spray on our lawn, so I know they're clean. and then the other part was, for the longest time as a professional, as a chiropractor professionally, I knew that all pharmaceuticals came from someplace in nature first. They isolated what they thought was the active ingredient, but now, as I learned in herbalism and phytotherapeutics and other research that surrounds those topics, that we can't, we're doing a disservice by isolating something out of the herb.
Yes.
Or the mineral or the plant or whatever that is. And it's the effect synergistically of all the components of the dandelion or of the basil that really bring the power that nature has for us. Comment on that if you could.
That is absolutely on point. And it's one of the biggest things that I find problematic within herbalism and modern health, and even in between, right? We have the phytonutrients that are almost like a second cousin to the pharmaceuticals, because they will isolate one molecule out of, say, ashwagandha. They'll say the withaniosides. They want a specific standardization amount of withaniosides in that ashwagandha plant and then create a supplement out of it. And that can have its benefit in knowing precisely how much you have, but you are actually removing some of the safety and some of all the additional synergistic benefit of the entirety of that plant.
You know, One of the things I came across was if I were to superdose, say, on a vitamin B12, just for example, my body's going to be using other B vitamins, taking it from my body to help process or utilize what the B vitamin B12 did. And so when we isolate things, the body has to use its stores, its reserves, to fulfill the need that the plant, if I ate it whole, was going to provide. Right. This is where whole food eating, whole food supplementation, the more organic, the cleaner, the better, obviously. But it was the whole plant that really made the difference.
100%.
How does an herbalist take a plant and put it into, everyone sees over here, Danny brought me a couple different things to try out, thank you.
Of course.
But how do you take a plant and develop something like this?
So you look at the plant itself. There's many different ways to consume a plant. You can throw it into your soup. Like for example, astragalus root is one of my favorites. The root itself, you can just throw that into a hot water tea. You can throw that into a soup or a stew. You can use it in many different ways. I like to use the extracts, the dual extracts, where you'll do an alcohol and then a water extract. That's a little bit of a more technical term on how you get all of the active constituents out of the herb itself, but there's many different ways to do that. So once you have the herb itself, you can do an extraction, and then you can take that extraction and blend it into common things that you use on a day-to-day basis, whether it be tea, whether it be juice, whether it be, you know, salad or sauces or anything that you normally consume on a day-to-day basis. You take that part of the plant, the extract of the full plant, and then incorporate it into your body. You have the best of both worlds.
Now, if I understand this, I don't know your operation, so to speak. Are you a one-man show? Do you have a team of people helping you? How does that work? You're making all these products.
Right. Oh, yeah. There's always a team. All right. I try as much as I can to do what I can do by myself, but recognize my limitations. Right. That's always important. You got to recognize what you can do, what you can't do, and then always be open to work with people that can do what you can't do better than you. All right. So I have a team that helps me with pure extraction. I have a guy who only does extractions, 20 years. This is the only thing he does. Then I work with cooks and chefs and nutrition experts. Myself, I like to do a lot of the blending of the extracts themselves and put them into different beverages. So that's kind of my background and what I bring to the table. So there's always different levels on building upon people's knowledge base and getting real creative. Like you said before, it's an art. You know, having the artistic view of utilizing these plants into your daily habits. That's where the magic is at.
Wow, beautiful. I'm happy to hear your answer, because while the high-level manufacturing system produces a vast quantity, it loses effectiveness. It can add toxicities, and oftentimes, for cost savings, there's an addition of an ingredient you don't want in there. And what I hear in your story is it's as natural, as whole, as original. Small organization, eliminating the big factory effect.
Yes, that is huge. My background is actually food safety.
Okay.
So before I was full-time into herbalism and creating my own products, I used to do audits for Costco's and BJ's and ShopRites and Wall Bombs. I don't know if you remember that store back in the day. It used to be Wall Bombs in Long Island. But supermarkets and places like that, just make sure, you know, they're actually doing the right things. The HACCP analogous critical control points, the HACCP things, like these guidelines, that's where all the issues occur. When you have people that actually don't really have skin in the game, it's not theirs, and you hire them, that's where the mistakes happen. It's always a human error. So eliminating that by obviously working with myself and only with people that have skin in the game and actually have their blood, sweat, and tears on the things that they produce, it eliminates that, the risk of people not caring or not washing their hands or doing those things where it can tarnish different products.
Well, so people are invested in it. They have a heart in it. They have they want a good outcome for it.
Yes.
Right. That's a whole different product than than the other way.
Exactly. It's the safety portion and then also the efficacy portion, because the energy, the love, the care, the concern that goes inside of it, it really impacts the quality that you are receiving when you consume.
Now that's a topic I really love, because the intention that goes into something, we now know in different kinds of sciences that intention makes a difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's why that home cooked meal tastes so good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad we're having some fun and having this conversation, but there's the journey of how you got to this place. When did you start becoming aware of the herbalism conversation, using nature to, it's kind of funny to say, using nature to eat,
Right.
for food sources, to get a better quality thing? Where did that story start?
You know what? It's always been in me. Like, I realized young, I'm always outside. I'm always in nature, in the woods, loving it. I used to eat ants as a kid. It's just weird stuff. Just experimenting with nature, right? That's life. Experimenting and being a part of nature, an active participant in nature, versus nowadays where they try to take humans away from nature as if we're separate, right? But yeah, it's always kind of been there. But my schooling was sociology, right? How people behave in groups, and then obviously the psychology behind the individual. That's my traditional background. And I've always been in the service industry. I used to work with adults with disabilities. I had a daycare, believe it or not, for 8 years out in Long Island. And during that process of, taking care of these kids and helping them, grow, they would help me make these drinks. So I started off with making these beverages with herbs inside of it.
Wow.
And the goal was to make the single most healthy beverage that anybody can take, right? And as an ounce for ounce, I want the most healthy thing that anyone can consume. And I had to put the pieces together. How can I do this? What are the prerequisites to make this happen, right? So I was like, all right, definitely need some vitamins and minerals, right? So I found a liquid multivitamin company and entrepreneur that I saw, trusted, and vetted. Then juices, obviously, fresh organic juices. Then the herb extracts. So I took all these different things and elements and put them together to make a drink that you take a shot of it. You have the vitamins, you have herbs, you have juices. So you're basically having like 7 different supplements all in one shot that you can take in the morning. But that's where we started.
Now I'm going to hold you off there for a minute, because we're going to dive more into what Danny's creating, the products he has available, and some of his story about how he overcame, because I know there's some stresses to doing what you're doing and creating a company and delivering products. So we're going to come back to that after the break, so stay tuned. This is Unwinding Stress.
Have you ever tried to build people into a team? Maybe you've tried bowling, or ziplining, or paintball, or pizza making. These events can be fun, and they can make everybody happy for a while. But in the long run, do they really turn people into a team? Now, imagine the members of your team scattered all over the world, working from trains and airplanes, from remote offices, client locations, or working from home. How do you build a winning team when your playing field might be the entire world? With BCAT, we've created the answer. Working completely online, no matter where your people are, we turn them into an engaged and motivated team in 3 simple steps. First, we use the BCAT survey, which they can take online, anywhere, anytime, to reveal the North Star that represents their shared pride in the work they do. Next, we work with your team's leaders and stakeholders to convert that North Star into a role target, an ideal virtual person who represents your team's best self, living its best day at work. With our internet tools, we hang your North Star high in the sky, where everyone on your team can see it, no matter where in the world they might be. Then we guide and help everyone on your team in creating personal plans to align themselves with your team's North Star.
All right, everybody, we are back. This is Unwinding Stress. I'm Dr. Kevin Gerina, and today I have Herbalist. He's a creative, he's an entrepreneur, Danny Parrott, and he is doing great things in the world, helping people wake up to the topic of nature. Nature is medicine.
Yes.
That's where medicine, as we know it today, originated from. And what nature does is allows the human body to be nurtured in such a way so it can do its natural thing, which is heal and be well, grow and develop and create beautiful things.
Absolutely.
So thank you once again for joining us today.
Of course.
I've been completely inspired watching you. I have my herbalism experience, and from looking for the right, learning how to identify something, being respectful of how you gather it, doing the work to dry it and prepare it and putting into a salve or a tincture, but you're also doing food.
Yes.
And drinks. And in fact, that's how you got started, was creating a beverage.
Yes.
So one of the things I love to ask all my guests is, well, what was the impetus of how you got started to make that beverage? What's the reason why that became true in your life?
Right, so there was a time where my best friend's dad, he developed cancer. And we were 18 years old, we were adults, and I knew this wasn't the approach that they were taking, which was convention, that wasn't it. And he didn't want to take the chemotherapy, and I was like, I'm just gonna dive deep on all the alternatives that are out there and see what pops up, what sticks. And that was the rabbit hole you jump in, and it never ends.
Right.
And then I fell into the adaptogenic herbs. I fell into the functional medicinal mushrooms.
Right.
And there was cannabis even.
Right.
And there was so many different areas to explore. But time wasn't on my side. I just jumped into this. I'm not expert to tell him what he should be taking or what he shouldn't be taking.
Right.
But unfortunately, he passed away from lung cancer. But that was the catalyst that I didn't want anybody to have to deal with going through that process without even knowing about alternatives.
Wow, you're reminding me of a moment I had with one of my friends growing up, where I was a newbie in chiropractic school. His mom is diagnosed with the stage 4 something or other. And I'm sitting there going, well, I know enough to go, there's alternatives to what you're doing. I'm printing out, I must have printed out that much stuff, handed it to him, like he's gonna do something with it, However, the point was, there was so much information about food, about emotions, about the standard American diet, how that contributes to the body breaking down, and the solution is real food. In so many places, or at least a component of that, because I know there's so much with technologies and emotions that can impact that as well. But if I don't eat well, no matter how much emotional work you do, if you don't eat well, no matter how much tech you use or don't use, it will affect that. And so how do you see adaptogenic herbs?
I see them as one of the greatest tools that we can utilize for our modern day.
If you could, tell everybody, give a couple examples of what are adaptogenic herbs, some names.
All right, some names for adaptogenic herbs. Ashwagandha is one of the most well-known, well-researched, well-respected names. Reishi mushroom is another one. Chaga mushroom, lion's mane mushroom, cordyceps mushroom. A lot of the medicinal mushrooms, the high-end ones, they fall under that category of adaptogens. But there are some leaves like jagulin is considered an adaptogen. Some also consider nettle an adaptogen. But there are tons, well, I shouldn't say tons, there are a significant amount of them. In regards to the plethora of botanicals available, it's a small sliver, but available to people, there are a lot of options.
So what I love about the topic of adaptogens is the description's in the name.
Yes.
It helps you adapt to your reality, to your life, so that you can ultimately rise and be better.
Yes.
And so now how are you using them? You're using them in juices. Is that your main thing right now?
Well, juices, I make customized beverages for people. Okay. So I work one-on-one with people, and I was like, I will customize you a beverage. All the beverages will have vitamins and minerals and all the things that the human body needs, but then the herbs will be unique to their areas of opportunity.
Wow,
what
that's
they're
amazing.
looking to accomplish in their life and their health.
So you take someone reaches out to you, they contact you.
Right.
And you do like a one-on-one consultation, and you figure out what's going on. Because then I know when you open up the herb books and the different homeopathic books, there's all these descriptions for symptoms people have, and you can compare them with nature's glory. I'll call it that.
Right.
So that's what you're doing with people.
Right. I give them a consultation and we talk. And we'll first go through, do you have any diagnoses, right?
Sure.
Let's get that out the way first. But how you sleeping?
Yeah.
Anything crazy happen in the last 6 months in your life? Did you move? Did a family member die? Did you get a new job? Did you get fired from your job? It's based the real life things that actually put a turmoil and stress on your life.
Right.
That's what I want to break down. That's what I want to get to. Right. And try to make them forget as fast as they can about the disease title that they were given.
That's right.
Right, and just realize like, okay, yeah, that was given to me, that's on record, but that doesn't quantify what's happening to me or with me or how I'm able to recover. So
I'm glad you're saying all that, because in the medical system, allopathic medicine is really just dealing with the biochemistry that exists, not really life factors.
Right.
There's so much around that conversation that plays into that. We can't just fix a blood factor and now your life's solved.
Right.
Because what brought that on in the first place? And that's through the question process that you're doing.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. And so then here you are, you're having the conversation with people, and then you're figuring out, what's your process? I mean, don't disclose any proprietary information, but you hear their story, and then it starts to clue you in towards something?
Yes, it will start to clue me in towards something. And then, there's a catch-all. When you have adaptogens, you're obviously asking people about their stress levels. And each adaptogen has a benefit to stress, but you want to look at which of the parts of the body. Is it your nervous system? Is it your sleep? Well, sleep and nervous system go together. But is it your immunity? Is it your gut function? What's going on with you? And then I'll pair the benefits of certain adaptogen and herbs to that area of opportunity that they're dealing with.
I know herbs have a vast array of things they can improve upon.
Yes.
Though there's typically a focus that they benefit the most with.
Right.
Like, for example, reishi. Tell me a little bit about it. I know I use it related to a lot of digestive concerns.
Yeah.
Does that sound about right for you?
There's benefits for liver, digestion. There's benefits to your nervous system and sleep. There's benefits to overly aggressive immune responses. There's benefits to increasing your immunity. So this is the cool thing, because you can reduce immune function in certain allergic responses, but then you can also increase immune response in certain cancers. So it's like it has that double directional approach, right? It can do whatever is necessary for the body at the moment.
So it sounds like some of these herbs are it's like there's an intelligence along with it.
Yes.
And it helps the body adapt to the proper situation to bring itself back into balance.
Right.
That's a beautiful connection. Thank you for that.
No, I think the most beautiful thing, and then also it's like the Achilles heel for us in herbalism to actually have credence within the medical doctrine, because they want to see, I need to know what herb is doing what. And if you have a herb that can reduce immune function and then also increase immune function, they have no idea what to do with that.
Right.
So then it's like, all right, well, don't worry about your medical doctrine. Just worry about the human being consuming this piece of food and how it's helping them.
Well, that's the conversation of mechanism versus vitalism.
Yes.
So mechanism is this one thing does this one job, and we know how to influence it one direction or the other, but only one thing can do it that one direction. And this is where we see all the side effects of the medical approach, because, the body has an intelligence. There's a wisdom there, and one thing has all kinds of different effects.
Right.
But nature, and using it in its whole form, has that ability to adapt with the intelligence of the system.
Yep.
And vitalism is that kind of, we are all one. At nature, we're part of nature. It can't separate us from nature.
Yep.
This is why we get all this when it's cold outside. We're not getting sunlight. Everyone starts to get sick because they're missing vital components to being well.
Right.
Wow, beautiful. And also a challenging thought process sometimes.
It is.
So how do people reach out to you? Where do people find you the most?
Usually it's referrals from other clients and also through one of my Instagram pages.
So you're all over social media?
Yeah, social media, Facebook, Instagram.
Do you have a preference?
Telegram. I would say my preference would still be Instagram, because that's where the majority of my notoriety came from. So I will pay homage, even though they've deleted my page and I've had to rebuild the page for violating community standards, because during the shutdowns, I was doing case studies, and I was, there was nothing but fear out there. So I decided, like, look, I'm going to take some historically useful Chinese herbs that are known to be beneficial for the respiratory system and immune function, and have helped with the flu and other types of COVID-like diseases in the past, and I'm going to give it to people, and I'm going to see how they are benefiting, and I'm going to share this. In doing that, I definitely set off some red flags, because once I saw that I was giving it to only nurses, because we're small batch. I can't give it to the millions of people that need it, but I can give it to a few hundred nurses that are front line in New York at the time. And every person that I had in the medical field that was using this, they were right as rain. They weren't getting sick when their contemporaries were having to call out because they were overworked, burned out, and then getting the sickness on top of that.
Right.
So when I seen this, I'm like, wow, this is incredible. Sharing that information was that was a no-no.
Well, to me, in the circles I study in and work in and communicate in, many of the best practitioners, many of the best researchers, many of the best implementers of nature's medicine, not just herbs, but acupuncturists, chiropractors, research scientists, they were having the same and similar experience. So to me, your story is a bit of a badge of honor. And we now know, and this is not exactly the part of the conversation I was planning on talking about today, but we now know, looking back, that the different Senate and House committee hearings about social media they were wrongfully banning people, illegally doing so, and there's repercussions coming for that. And that's the challenge with truthful actions. Is at first a lot of the false information is touted as true, but the truth will eventually become well known and accepted, but it's violently opposed in the beginning.
Right.
So I applaud you for continuing on in the midst of the difficulties.
and
but you were doing real science, and with
it.
full disclosure from people that were agreeing to be part of your case studies, essentially.
Yes.
And for anyone who's looked into that information, I would have gone your route 100%, because I know the body runs on nutrition. It runs on what you put into it. We are what we eat.
Yes.
That's why that adage has stayed around so long, because it's true.
It is.
So part of my laughter, I'm having fun in the sense of dancing around the language needed.
Right.
But so Instagram is a great place for people to connect to you.
Yes.
You said you're on Telegram.
Yep.
Is it the People's Herbalist?
The People's Herbalist across the board. Even my website, thepeoplesherbalist.com.
Beautiful. So you got a website, you got Instagram, Telegram, and people can go there to your website and learn more about.
Yeah, we have informational videos. I have courses. Obviously, we have products there for people to peruse and try out if they like. We have a section for consultations if anybody wants to reach out and set up a time for a quick call. Yeah, we try to make sure there's a lot of information and tangible things that you can take away from the website, not just go there to purchase, but also to be informed.
Tell me a little bit more about your classes. Are you teaching people what are you teaching?
Oh man, we have a lot of different classes. So my online course is Adaptogens 101.
Okay.
So basically, the healing process, a little bit about the herbs themselves, some medicinal mushroom stuff, and that's the online stuff. But in person, we do courses as well. I teach homeschool kids with my partner. Her name is Elizabeth, Queen Bee's Pharmacy.
Oh, wow.
So we do herb and bee schools. We bring the kids out, homeschooling, teaching them about herbs and the connection to soil and bees and pollination and the food cycle. I also do education on cancer itself and how to use plants appropriately and legally without messing around saying the terms that you can't say. So I work with a lot of different people, from budding herbalists to children to doctors, even, because having the conversations to the public about healing and then having that in a way that they understand, that's a skill you have to develop.
Absolutely.
So in any way, as long as people are benefiting from the transfer of information from one person to another. That's how I try to.
Wow, what a beautiful mission and a vision that you got going, and you're doing it. So I applaud you. And everyone at home, please go ahead, check out the People's Herbalist. By all means, I know I've been getting just the enjoyment of watching the stuff on Instagram, and getting your awareness of the soil, the plant, the relationship between living men and women, and all that going on is so vital, in my opinion. So I invite you to check out Danny and his work at the People's Herbalist. And I want to thank you for coming on today.
My pleasure.
Yeah,
My pleasure.
yeah. So everybody, thank you for tuning in, watching, paying attention, hopefully maybe you took some notes and you're going to take some action. I'll see you on the next episode of Unwinding Stress. I'm Dr. Kevin Gerina. Blessings and best regards.